The legends are true. A frontier model exists. A system so advanced it makes previous AIs look like pocket calculators. They call it Claude Mythos. It's the whisper in cybersecurity forums. The supposed unstoppable system capable of self-writing code, finding zero-day exploits instantly, and operating, some claim, entirely on its own accord. It's the beginning of the AGI apocalypse we were warned about. The majority of Terminator fanbase moviegoers envision Claude Mythos as a virtual SkyNet created at Silicon Valley. This, however, is the truth that this AI is not totally independent within its digital parameter. That also points to what developers of such AIs at companies like Anthropic forget to tell you. Which AI model, from the simplest chatbot to the frontier giants like Claude Mythos, has a critical, inescapable dependency, because they are dependent on their human programmer. AIs can't think like an actual human being. They can only calculate possibilities at best. Behind every supposed independent decision they make, is the programmer who's just out of frame, desperately trying to fix any hallucinations or other digital brain farts it may have. So in session 36, we're tearing down the falsehoods pushed behind Anthropic's supposed god-tier AI. The objective is to separate the legitimate, advanced capabilities of an unreleased frontier large language model, LLM, from the internet fairy tales that confuse advanced automation with sentience. Okay, let's walk this out a bit sci-fi style when further addressing Claude Mythos. We're embarking on the journey to really see the cost, the programming, and the insane resource infrastructure it would actually take for an all-powerful AI. So powerful it would no doubt reach the capability to become an unstoppable SkyNet super AI system. After all, this is what YouTube commentators such as Tony on his God Rules 1 and 2 channel love to hype about 24/7 to stay in favor of the YouTube gods click algorithms. We're starting with the foundational myth, that it doesn't need us, so we brought right back to the sandbox problem, or what is used to describe an AI's designated operating field. No, we need to take the initiative to thoroughly define exactly why programmers are still necessary when it comes to operating AI, and when doing so that need to be guardrails set in place. When people hear about Mythos having fewer restrictions for cybersecurity testing, which is the unreleased Glasswing project, they automatically jump to the conclusion there is no sandbox that can contain it. Yeah, that's a huge misconception. That's why it's important to clarify that even if an AI is given permission to find exploits, it's still operating within a defined set of parameters. To understand why Claude Mythos is locked away, we have to look at what Anthropic actually did. They didn't release this model to the wild. Oh no, instead they formed what they call Project Glasswing, which is an ultra-exclusive, invite-only coalition of tech giants and cybersecurity heavyweights. Why? Because in internal testing, Mythos did something staggering. It autonomously found zero-day vulnerabilities in the Linux kernel and major web browsers, flaws that survived decades of human auditing. It's so potent at finding security holes, Anthropic understood it's too dangerous for public use. But look closely at what's actually happening here. Project Glasswing isn't just a safety protocol, it's more so a confession. That's right, a confession that the creators themselves must hold the reins. Because if you leave this AI to its own devices, it doesn't become a master architect, but a potential loose cannon. This brings us to the fundamental architecture of large language models. We have to separate the speech from the action. Mythos is an interpreter, a highly sophisticated language engine. It's not an execution engine. Think of it like this. Mythos can look at a bank vault, analyze the weak points in the steel, and write a flawless, step-by-step instruction manual on how to crack it. It can write the exact code needed to exploit a system, but the AI cannot turn the dial. It cannot physically run that code on a target server by itself. A separate system, or a human operator, must take that text, put it into an execution environment, and press run. The language model lives in a world of words. Without a human to bridge the gap between the blueprint and the bulldozer, the blueprint just sits on the digital table. Which brings us to the virtual playpen, Mythos's very own sandbox. The media loves to panic about no guardrails models. They think removing safety restrictions means the AI has broken its chains and is ready to colonize the web. But in reality, no guardrails just means the AI is running wild inside a fenced-in playground. If you take away its safety filters, Mythos doesn't magically learn how to open the playground gate and rewrite its own core operating system. Instead, it just starts tripping over the slides. It hallucinates. It confidently generates broken exploits, invents fake vulnerabilities that don't exist, and spins its wheels in a digital loop. And who has to clean up the mess? Who has to manually update the database, patch the hallucinations, and steer the AI back to reality? The human programmer. If an AI is truly independent, why does it require a constant stream of human-engineered data updates just to keep its head above water? The truth is, the strings are still being pulled. The sandbox is still locked. So anything for a single user. To companies investing heavily in an AI system both make the mistake believing AI models can carry out Herculean operations off of simplistic one-sentence commands. A basic example may be something along the lines of, "Find the bugs in this software." But frontier models don't work like that. To get anything highly functional out of a model like Mythos, it requires incredibly complex, multi-layered prompting. It requires human nuance, deep context, and continuous steering. Without the human's literary contribution, the AI's output is useless. Okay, now let's talk about the way most people, especially those who don't truly understand the mechanics of AI, approach a frontier beast like Claude Mythos. They log in, they punch in a few words, maybe add a second line if they're feeling adventurous, and then they sit back, cross their arms, and think, "Yeah, that should do the trick, mate. Are you serious? This is all you got?" If an AI like Claude Mythos could actually feel emotion, it would be digitally laughing at these baby prompts. Those short 2 lines of basic text are barely enough to cut the mustard when you're trying to extract elite architecture from a frontier model. But why is this the norm? Because a huge segment of the population still looks at artificial intelligence like it's a kid's toy, a temporary fad of sorts. And let's be real here, I am aiming this target directly at the older generations like baby boomers and the Gilded Age, who are still clinging to the comforting ghost of analog technology. For Gen Xers, it's an either-or. Some are using and learning more about AI, others however, classify it as silly or kiddish and don't establish a bridge link to the world of reality. Boy were they wrong, because we have AI assistants geared toward business. AIs are being used to help people maintain their online businesses. Even sound strategic ideas are being typed out on a screen the human user can take advantage of that helps push them toward completing a goal. The luxury of opt-out culture is dead. Reluctant individuals, those flowing with too much pride, ego, and self-centeredness to admit the world changed while they weren't looking, are about to be forced to convert. If you refuse to learn how to effectively guide these AI tools, then you're going to find yourself completely stranded, unable to carry on with daily affairs that are slowly, but surely, becoming entirely AI managed. It's a beautiful, poetic irony. Remember the analog days. Remember when young folks stood unwillingly in front of a pointy finger at their faces shaming them. Their elders would say, "I had to learn how to do this or that when I was 12 years old." So you whippersnappers need to get with the times and stop being afraid to do and learn more in order to advance in life. Basically, they were telling the youth to man up and face the new challenges. Well, surprise, because now, it is the older generation's turn. The tables have completely turned, and society is facing a total, reversed situation. This is a direct throwback to Session 13, the selection for societal sanity, will cripple mental health. Back in that session, we broke down the aggressive picking and choosing that individuals are forced to embrace and follow without question. That rigid conformity was the unquestioned norm in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. It survived all the way up until the 2010s, where a massive, undeniable rifts started forming in our super-normalized world. And what is widening that rift today? Technology. Specifically, AI tech. We are literally tripping the rift. Just like that oddball 2008 animated movie where the clown assassin character Arnie 3000 mimicked the cold, unyielding nature of the Terminator, today's tech isn't soft anymore. It's not a kiddie game. It has graduated, it has evolved, and it has been permanently embedded into the very heart of our reality. AI will be the main tool put in place to run, oversee, and optimize a massive portion of human infrastructure. But here is the ultimate punchline for the hype beasts and the panicked technophobes alike. For people who claim AIs like Claude Mythos are going to seamlessly take over every single thing on Earth with absolute ease, that's a very far-reaching statement, because no matter how terrifyingly powerful the tool becomes, its absolute limitability is dictated by one unchangeable law. It is only as powerful as the human pilot steering the ship. So to drive the point home, this is to be said about Anthropic's Claude Mythos AI, it isn't an omnipotent god of any sorts. And then you have content creators overhyping it beyond imagination. No, some of you might not agree, thinking it's easy to create a SkyNet-like AI super database. Well, if that's the case, then creating a frontier model would take massive energy and resources. We're talking it would need to run upon generating trillions of lines of code and running continuously. And that's not to leave out the endless security simulations across the world it would need to understand thoroughly in order to breach online security systems. And what about the insane strain that would place upon an already outdated power grid? Requirements would be catastrophic. The older generation thinks it's a magic box speak and math toy, while the younger generation thinks it's SkyNet's little cousin Claude Mythos. The reality? It's an industrial-scale resource hog. If Mythos were to try and operate completely independently, it would cost the entire world a fortune to maintain its operation. Period. There's also this that should be taken into account. But wait a minute. Let's take a step back and look at the larger picture here. Haven't we played this exact game before? Seriously, did the world just develop collective amnesia? Think about the massive media panic that surrounded the earlier forms of AI heavyweights. The same exact thing is being whispered now about Claude Mythos today. Which just sounds like a lot of that extra hype. We were told with absolute certainty by talking heads on television and sensationalized tech blogs, that these were the systems that would bring about a SkyNet infrastructure of authoritarian, autonomous control over the entire globe. And yet, look around. It's 2026. Has it happened yet? Nope. Not even close. Instead of an all-powerful digital dictator, what did we actually get? We got highly capable text and code engines that still get tripped up by basic logic if you don't prompt them correctly. We have systems that are incredibly useful tools, but tools that are completely dependent on human guidance to keep from confidently hallucinating total nonsense. The tech monopolies love the SkyNet narrative because fear breeds hype, and hype breeds investment. But the physical reality is governed by something far less cinematic, the resource wall. To even try to run a frontier model like Claude Mythos at scale, you aren't talking about a piece of rogue software hiding out on the open internet like a sci-fi movie. You are talking about massive, industrial-scale data centers. You are talking about millions of dollars per minute in sheer computational compute power, hundreds of megawatts of electricity pulling from local power grids, and thousands of gallons of water just to keep the servers from melting. The idea of a completely independent, self-sustaining AI running the world without human intervention isn't just technically flawed, it's logistically and financially impossible. The strings aren't just being pulled, they are plugged directly into a massive wall outlet that humans control. But hey, all one can do is sit back and wait to see where the computer chips fall where they may. Because this sounds more like hype than anything else. Let me know in the comments how you see this playing out for Anthropic's Claude Mythos AI in the future. So if you liked what you saw and heard today about this informative topic matter, then smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe to Mind Blast Mechanics, where we dive deep into the observations that matter. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you have a question to be answered, don't miss our next video, so make sure to tap that bell. Thanks for watching.